How's it going, guys? Andrew here with Justified EDC. Long time no see. I am back after a little bit of a hiatus. I had some life stuff going on, some work stuff going on. Had some property damage that was affecting the room that I usually film in and everything. So I appreciate you guys sticking it out and waiting for me to come back. Big thank you to some makers that were also waiting on some reviews, especially this one here. So I'm going to hop right into it, but I just wanted to say it's good to be back, and I appreciate everyone that stuck around and has been asking where the videos are. So they will be returning shortly, and this is going to be the first of those return videos. A review that is a long time coming, and I actually already filmed once, and then the footage got corrupted, and I am now having to refilm it, is the Offensive Industries Fenrir-M. I have been absolutely loving this knife and using it for quite a while now, several months. My testing for what I was happy with for a review has been done for quite a while, but just had to wait and have some time to refilm and all that good stuff. So I'm going to get you specs and size comparisons and all that good stuff as normal, but we always have to thank the sponsor of the channel, Auxiliary Manufacturing. Mike over at Auxiliary Manufacturing makes awesome custom fixed blades right here in the USA. He is absolutely killing the game, pumping out knives for you guys, real cool new designs, big stuff coming with him, so definitely pay attention. One of the things I got here right now from him is his Sumi model, this really cool hawkbill, reverse edge style, Offensive Industries sheath, all that good stuff. So if you're interested in his stuff, I will have links down in the description to his Instagram and his website, so definitely go check him out. And thank you, Mike, again for sponsoring the channel, so definitely go check his stuff out. All right, let's hop right into it. So this is the Fenrir-M. If you're unfamiliar with Offensive Industries lineup here, I'm going to move the sheath out of the way for now. This is the mid-size version of his Fenrir lineup. So I don't have all three of them here, but I have the original Fenrir. This is the medium size, the Fenrir-M, and then there's a Fenrir-L. So really all that's changing between those is this is the original kind of stubby handle, stubby blade. The only thing that changes on the M, you have the same blade shape, same blade length, all that. You just have a longer handle. And then the L, which I'm hoping to get here in a little bit, is the same handle length, but just a slightly longer blade. So that's kind of the family. I'll do a full video on the kind of all three of them lined up and compared when I have all three in hand. But for now, I'll bring this back out later for size comparisons. But just so you have some background, this is the original Fenrir, and then this is the M, the mid-size version. So let's hop into some specs here. So let's do sizes here. So lining this up here, we have about, your cutting edge is just about 1 3/4 inches, a little over 1.5 inches. Your overall blade length, if you count the ricasso, is about 2.5 inches. Overall length is just over 6 inches, and your handle, get this lined up here for you, you have a little over 4 inches of grip area. So, probably right about 4 inches of grip area, which for my hands, I wear a medium-sized glove. That gives me plenty of room to grip that. If you have larger hands, I think the neutral handle will kind of conform to that. You kind of just be able to wrap your pinky around the butt of the knife there. You have a Nitro V blade here, a jute wrapped handle. Your stock thickness is 3/32, so a little bit thinner than a lot of Offensive Industry stuff. Most of his stuff is 1/8 blade stock, which is good stuff. I think kind of 1/8 inch is kind of the gold standard for EDC fixed blades, but this is nice having a little bit thinner blade stock, makes it a little bit more slicey. That's the same thing, I believe, on the full Fenrir lineup. The regular Fenrir is also a thinner blade stock. I can't confirm because I don't have one in hand, but I believe the Fenrir L is as well. You have a flat grind on here, about mid-height, mid 3/4 way flat grind, secondary edge bevel, very nice, very neutral handle. So that's your general specs, all that good stuff. I'm going to bring out some size comparisons here now. So let's do some fixed blades as well. So here is, again, the original Fenrir next to the M. Here's another similarly sized knife, which another small fixed blade, but kind of even makes this look big. This is the BW Knives Erebus short, I should say. There is a larger Erebus as well. One that I have been teasing on Instagram, and I don't think I've shown on the channel yet. Here is my Emerson Knives Mini Sax fixed blade with custom handle wrap from Offensive Industries as well. Just like this so you can see the whole knife. So still, again, a small fixed blade, but that really shows how small this guy really is. Let's see, one more fixed blade. Here is the Sosby Knives Chicago Cub, which I think is a really good side-by-side of like that kind of full-size handle with the shorter blade, but even here, you have an even shorter blade than the Chicago Cub. And I'll bring out the auxiliary Sumi here for another small fixed blade. Now there's finally one that's a little bit smaller. Let's see, we'll do some classics here. Here, absolutely dwarfing the Fenrir-M is the Buck 110. Here is your classic standard size trapper. This one happens to be a K-bar, but substitute any of your queen cutlery, case, anything like that. Your full size trappers, that's what you're looking at there. Close these up. And let's get you some modern folders. So here is the Hogue Deca and the Spyderco Para 3, both small to mid-size depending on who you are, EDC knives. Again, both a decent bit larger than the Fenrir-M. And let's do one more since everyone is familiar with what a Delica looks like. Here is the old Chinesium Gonzo Delica. Exact same dimensions of a Delica, but just not overpriced. So there you can see that should give you a decent idea of the size of this knife. Also, I'm going to tease this really cool Kydex pattern here on this Emerson Sachs. You can drool over this for when I do a full review. So as I'm putting these away here, let's get into my thoughts on the knife, my use behind it, all that good stuff. So, like I said, I meant to do this review quite a bit ago. Again, I filmed it, footage got corrupted, and so with everything going on, I haven't been able to do refilm the review. So I've had quite a bit of use behind this knife, even more than I normally do for a review. So I forgot to mention in the specs, you have like an acid stonewash on this blade. You can't really tell, especially it almost looks like two-tone on that on the primary bevel there, because I've used this so much. You can kind of see all those scratches. It's really starting to wear away that edge coating or the blade coating. There you go. But so I've had a lot of use behind this. Usually, then on the Nitro V knives, by the time I do a review, I've maybe sharpened them once and stropped them a couple times. I think I've sharpened this knife 3 times now and stropped it maybe a dozen times. As always, the heat treat on the Nitro V that Offensive Industries uses, same as Auxiliary and Kistner and BW and all those guys. The magic mixture on their heat treat that they're using, the Nitro V holds up really, really well. Nitro V is known for being a very tough but also stainless steel. Not the highest in edge retention though, but whatever heat treat they're using, the edge retention is actually pretty spot on. If you're not familiar with Nitro V, it's very similar to 14C28N. You see that a lot more in production stuff. Kind of came from the bushcraft world, but for being kind of a very tough, similar to some carbon steels, but also a stainless steel. So just some history of that. But all that to be said, very happy with how the Nitro V is performing as always. With it being a little bit thinner of blade stock, you do have a little bit thinner behind the edge than some. So this slices very, very well. The secondary edge bevel came nice and sharp, and I've been able to maintain it. I've been doing 20 degrees on either side for sharpening, and that seems to work pretty well and hold its edge for a decent amount of time. Sheath, Offensive Industries deep carry pocket sheath, so you can put this in either direction. Retention is absolutely solid, no rattle, no play, no worry about it coming up. But you're carrying this down in your pocket like that, so even if it was loose, you wouldn't have to worry about it because it's facing down. But very solid retention, very easy to grab it from really any grips. Picture this sitting in, I carry this in my front right pocket towards the front of my pocket. You can carry it off to the side like a normal folder, or you can kind of carry it up here in the front, which is what I do. It's kind of easy to have your hand in your pocket and kind of go right in here into your kind of standard grip, or to be able to get your thumb behind there and pull it out into your reverse grip. Speaking of grips, the neutral handle is very, very, very comfortable. So like I said, I wear medium-sized gloves and I have a little bit extra room here on the handle. So if you have larger hands, I think this will still fit you just fine. And the way he designs this guard here is the way it's rounded over is it gives you kind of a way to index the knife where you can kind of tell where your edge is. It does keep you from slipping up towards that edge too much, but it's rounded over enough that you can choke up on that guard too. So if you really want to be able to do some fine work like that, you can choke up both on your edge in for pull cuts and your edge out for push cuts. That's very nice. The other thing that rounded guard does, if you're going to use a knife like this for defensive purposes, a rounded guard is not going to get stuck inside whatever organic medium it's going inside of. Picture getting stuck on tendons or anything like that. It's not going to get hung up on anything. You're going to be able to retract that blade back out because knives get sucked into bodies. That's just how it works. Kind of gross, but that's how it is. Other than that, very comfortable in all four of your standard grips. Your saber grip, hammer grip, edge in forward, edge in reverse, edge out reverse. It's all just very, very comfortable. Just kind of a little bit of a, I don't even know what to call it, swell, taper, whatever you want to call that. So it sits very comfortable in your regular utility grips. Another thing with the jute wrap is because it's so thin, this isn't one of the thicker jute wraps. So like, let me pull out the BW Erebus here. This is a little bit thicker of a jute wrap, but you have enough contrast there that you can kind of use this as a pinch grip there against your palm. You can also choke up and use the flat of that blade. I like having that extra ricasso there, so you can kind of use that as pinch for your pinch grips, for kind of draw cuts on the table or anything like that. Works very, very well. It's nice and comfortable. Now, you might be thinking, I know a lot of you guys, especially you guys that come from like more of the modern folder world, are really obsessed with blade to handle ratio. What I mean by that is, especially for modern folders, people like kind of the same amount of blade as the handle length, which again, from proportions, I guess kind of makes sense. Some people, it's just a visual thing. Some people, it's like, well, if you can fit more blade inside the handle, why wouldn't you want more blade? That is a good point, and if you need a longer edge, you get more edge retention because you have more spots on the blade that are usable, you have more reach, all that good stuff. But one thing having a full-size handle and a very short blade it gives you is a lot of control over that little blade. So with a full-size handle, so here, I'm getting ahead of myself. With the regular Fenrir here, it's kind of a 3-finger grip for me, and if you kind of do a pinch grip like that, you can still have control over it like that, but in kind of these grips like that, you don't have as much control over this blade because you kind of have your fingers dangling off there. With this, with a full-size grip, you really have a lot of control over that blade to be able to manipulate it, get it inside stuff, kind of digging around with the tip or anything like that. Same thing on kind of your pull cuts, any kind of like bushcraft stuff. You have a lot of control over that little blade. As well as for defensive use, you're not going to have as much penetration depth, but you have a lot of torque behind that short edge. The farther your edge gets out, the more leverage it has to torque out of your hand, whereas a much shorter blade, you can really get in there and rip backwards. If you're into that kind of reverse edge life, you have a lot of power behind those kind of pull cuts like that. So that's something I really enjoy. I understand the argument of wanting a proportionate blade to your handle, but not all the time, but for EDC, I think this works just fine. I will be interested to see once I get the Fenrir-L in hand, how it compares having a little bit of extra blade on this handle. I think it will be just as controllable, but kind of when I do some stab tests and stuff like that, it'll be interesting to see how much more that kind of puts that kind of leverage on your hand when you're pulling back like that. So overall, really happy with this. I don't really have anything else to say. It's a very simple knife, but a very good tool, very effective. The sheath is solid as always. I think this is the best way to carry a fixed blade for EDC. And I always forget to do weight here. So I'm going to pull out your scale, because this is another point I wanted to make. As I was kind of showing some of those modern folders that people kind of consider like a small EDC folder. So there, it's even smaller than that. In the pocket, I mean, like in terms of what's down in your pocket, it's really not that much of a difference in terms of profile in your pocket. And let's do a weight comparison here. So your Spyderco Para 3, 3.4 ounces. Your knife, 2.2 ounces. And with the sheath, we're looking at 3.5 ounces. So these are virtually the exact same weight. So I know a lot of you guys that don't come from a fixed blade background are kind of intimidated by EDCing a fixed blade, but this kind of just goes to show that really It's not that big of a difference in terms of the profile in your pocket. It doesn't have to be a big difference in weight if you get something thin like this with a good sheath. I think an everyday carry fixed blade in this kind of pocket sheath is a very viable option for a lot of people, even outside of the more defensive use, just your regular everyday use. It's nice to just be able to grab your knife, use it, put it back in there, and not have to worry about fiddling with a lock, not having to worry about your lock strength, all of that good stuff. I think this is a very, very good option. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I don't want to ramble on too long about a very simple topic, but thank you to Josh of Defensive Industries for being patient, waiting for this review. Thank you to him for sending this along. I should have just put a disclaimer out there earlier. Sorry, I'm kind of out of rhythm here with how I do my reviews, but this was sent to me for review. Josh sent me this for free. He's letting me keep it. He's always very generous with that kind of stuff, but I really appreciate him sending this along. As always, makers send me stuff. I put it out there that sending me things for free, or even if I'm sending them back, it does not affect my review in any way. I will always say what I think. There's really not anything that I really have to critique on this one, actually, though, to be honest with you. It's really, really solid. So if you have any questions about this, guys, please leave it down in the comments. I will leave links for Offensive Industries Instagram and website. The best way to order from him is to just kind of watch his Instagram. He'll do periodic drops on there where he'll just post stuff for sale, and you can claim it in the comments or DMs. If you have custom order requests, especially for sheaths, send it to his DMs. He also has a website where he regularly posts stuff for sale, so I know I get a lot of questions about that. But as always, guys, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, leave them down below, and I will see you in the next video.